Hey, David Wygant, 10-minute daily reality check. Today, God, I'm getting sick of talking about Louis C.K. Really getting sick of the fat man in the robe. I'm tired of hearing about what Ben Affleck may or may not have been doing. It's just, I'm not a social media person. I'm not a pop culture person in the world. I like that people are speaking up finally. I'm enjoying that. I think that's great. I'd be very upset if I can't see Kevin Spacey in another movie again, because I think he's fantastic. There seems to be lots of things going on, lots of punishing. HBO is a good punisher. It's the home punishing network is what it's become. They're going to get rid of all the Louis C.K. He never worked for us ever again. We're never going to show any of his stuff. You can't do it on demand or anything. The man never existed because he likes to whip his penis out. I've got Eva Clay on right now today on the podcast. Hi, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Empathy. I feel a lot of empathy for people at all times. I feel empathy for the people that were abused by somebody. And then I feel empathy for the person that did the masturbation in front of people, because there's a sickness, and I think a lot of people like to hang people, they like to judge and hang. And there's not to be humorous, right? But we never know how we feel until we walk in somebody else's penis, I think would be the way with CK, right? We don't know what his penis and his mind and his brain talk about 24/7. As a matter of fact, his penis may just have some type of demon in it. We don't know. It might have been, who knows? His penis might be from a different reincarnation. It might just be this deviant penis that needs to be exposed.
I think a lot of men feel like their penis has a brain of its own, right? So that might be true.
It is true, but I got to tell you, my penis and I get along great now. My heart actually leads me. That's why I live a very empathetic life. My penis, well, it just tells me when it needs to go to the bathroom, and that's about it, because I tell my penis exactly what it needs to do. We all need to get together and be on the same page. Otherwise, the penis might be satisfied, the mind might be terrified, and the heart might be, holy shit, did I just say that during sex? Oh my God, the things we say during sex. So you have something that's interesting. You told me about you're very empathetic. I love that, warm, mushy. When's your birthday, by the way?
December 24th.
Oh, you're a Capricorn. My brother's a Capricorn. He's here right now.
Yeah, double Capricorn.
27th. So you get ripped off. You got ripped off as a kid too. Little Eva would look at the Christmas tree and then they go, well, Eva, those are your birthday and Christmas presents combined.
Yeah, I still do get ripped off. Yeah, definitely. So if you know me, you better give me 2 presents.
Yeah, exactly. So Eva's birthday is December 24th, people. Give me 2 presents, one for birthday and one for Christmas.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about, because this is really interesting, because if you look at the deviant sexual beings that are coming out every single day, they seem to be lacking maybe empathy for another person. Like there's no other person that's there and they're all about their own needs. And you talk about brain hacks to better intimacy. Maybe if you hacked Louis C.K.'s brain, maybe he would have been much better with intimacy. But not only that, I can't wait to hear how he comes clean about this. Remember, Pee Wee Herman used to masturbate in front of, in movie theaters, right? Now he's fine right now. He's back on television. He's okay. So I'm sure Louis C.K. is going to have an amazing stand-up act about him and his devious relationship with his penis, probably starting in about 2 months, and everybody's going to forget about it. And that, in fact, that he's a chronic masturbator. Because what's fun about masturbating in front of somebody who doesn't want to see it? Mutual masturbation, yay. Masturbation alone with someone standing there repulsed by what you're doing, not too good. So brain hacks to better intimacy. What the hell is that all about? Please share, because I know people are intrigued.
I know. Yeah. Okay. So this is my jam.
Tell me the jam.
I think smart is sexy. Using the brain and understanding the science of your body when it comes to sex and intimacy. And I don't know who was the first person to coin this phrase, but that the brain is the biggest sex organ. Absolutely true. The reason why I like to talk about this, and I think it's so important, is because we are rapidly eroding our empathic states through technology. And, um, I believe entities like free internet pornography, gaming, smartphoning, social media, all of these technology outlets are really fucking up our brain and actually destroying our capacity for intimacy and to relate to each other in the flesh. So I would love to talk about how to retain your capacity for intimacy and depth and connection and hot sex. Um,
I'm
if,
all ears. I'm
um,
sitting here right now. I'm looking down at my whole body and thinking like, yeah, we're game, because I do believe the brain, I call it a braingasm. And
mhm.
once you have a braingasm, then it goes to your heart and you have a heartgasm, because the words are so good. We're not just talking about, I want to fuck you, I want to lick you, I want to eat you, I want to do you. We're talking about connecting with the beautiful mind, the brilliance of each other, the vulnerability, the words that the heart always wanted to say that they go through the mouth. The mouth is not only used for sexual pleasure, it's used for sexual pleasure with words. And once you have a braingasm and a heartgasm, you get a soulgasm. And when you have all three of those things, then you can literally blow on one another, and the body just starts to quiver and shake and get turned on. So please, all ears, explain your process to it. I gave you mine. Now you give me yours. It's show and tell now.
Yeah, and I love how we all just got to hear you talk dirty.
Yeah, I know. But I'm even better than that. I mean, I learned dirty talk actually when I was 18 years old. Back in the days when they had phones attached to the wall, I would have to go in my closet and literally shut the door. So I had double vault protection so my sister and brother didn't hear it. And then I would just talk dirty to my high school girlfriend, knowing that she'd be masturbating at the other end of the line. I was also at one point in my career back in 2000 when I got involved in the dating space. I was fantasy man. I was the voice that women masturbated to. And I literally got on the radio and created custom tales of pleasure, because I understand what a beautiful thing to turn each other on by words. Words can make a man. And I did a podcast the other day with my good friend Eddie, how words can make a man hard. If you can make a man hard with words, and we're not talking about, I want to suck your dick. We're talking about emotional words, because men are far more sensitive than we let on. So please tell me your process to it, because I just confess so much. Oh, it's
I'm going to jump into that, but I am dying to know, David, what kind of words do you think a man would get hard for?
I'm a mental emotional motherfucker. So I get really hard in the way a woman describes how she feels, what she
Hmm.
wants, what type of man I am in her presence, how we connect on deep levels. To me, I'm an intimacy junkie, give me somebody who's willing to expose themselves, hook, line, and sinker. The dirty talk is, it's okay. I remember one time, Eva, I had this woman, um, I met her literally, this is fucking hilarious. I met her on jdateormatch.com. We started in IMing back and forth. And I said, listen, I gotta go talk to a client right now. I said, just be a good girl right now. And just, I was just playing around with her. Just be a good girl right now. And just, I'll be back in a little while.
She
She was,
like that.
yeah, she liked it. She goes, yes, master. And I'm like, yes,
Oh, it's on.
right. It's on. So I come back and I've got a couple of my students there, and I go, watch this. And I go, hello, Jeannie, how are you? She goes, master, I'm doing great. So we
Hmm.
called each other Master and Jeannie. We met about 2 hours later in a bar in Sherman Oaks in our separate cars. She followed me back to my condo in Brentwood, and she literally, I did not know her name at all. I just knew her name as Jeannie, and I was the master. When we got back to the house, we were playing out this role playing out this fantasy. It was a lot of fun. And I was ready, and we started having sex. And then she says, I've been a bad Jeannie. Master, please choke me. Okay, so I give her that little gentle choke, and she goes, no, harder. And I'm like, harder? Yeah, I'm not a violent individual. I said, yeah, that's all I can go. She goes, all right, well, slap me.
Mm.
Okay, what do you mean? I've been a bad Genie. Hit me across the face as hard as you can. And at this point right now, I just slipped out and I just basically said, we've just gone way past my comfort zone because I like more of the words that make my heart open up and feel like I'm being explored solely by a woman that I've never been explored by before. And she understands the deeper meaning and the deeper being of me as a man. So that's me as a man.
Great. I love this story.
Thank you.
Yeah, the takeaway, I'm not at all surprised to hear this. And I think that women need to know, I teach this a lot. What really turns a man on is your emotional vulnerability and your ability to express your emotions and skillfully. So not in a way that makes him responsible for your emotions, not in a way that overwhelms him or like is a sort of tsunami of intense emotion that's at him, that engulfs him, but to hear how he makes you feel.
Yes, oh God, we love it. It's what I call the daily braingasm of validation.
Yeah.
Because if you think about when a man and a woman meet, if you meet on a soul level, which is, which can happen if two people are basically open to meeting on a soul level, right? And they understand what their soul's deepest desire is, then the representative is no longer allowing the stories to come out. You're just basically vomiting words of expression, self-expression, mental expression, sexual expression, soulful expression. And there's something even that I say all the time. My next relationship, and I've always said that has to be the best sex I've ever had. Because what else would I be doing if I was going backwards? If I'm going backwards, the sex is not going to take me back. I don't want to go back to the hot sex I had at 21. I want to go back to having the sex that I'm supposed to have right now due to how I've grown as a man. So that's so important. I think that the brain hacking is so important. It's such an important thing. What other tips can we, for women listening, how can they brain hack a man better?
Okay, let me back up a little bit. Let me rewind and just
Rewind.
build some fun because we've gone like, woo, off-roading.
Yeah, I go off-roading all the time. I like off-roading.
I think you live off-road.
I do, because I like to take my woman for a ride off-road and a road that she's never been before. So I think about that all the time. I am one really good 4x4. And that's the thing is, if you've done off-roading, right? The beauty of off-roading is you really are not cruising down the highway at a fast speed like what most men are. Most men are very one-pump chumps. They always tell women all the time, I've never come this fast before. Bullshit, you have a million times. You've never learned how to control yourself, and you don't understand that you can have multiple orgasms, and you don't understand the beauty of going slow. So I've always looked at, when I make love to a woman, it's the beautiful ride, and if anybody's ever been on it, it's the ride from Durango to Telluride. There's this fucking gorgeous, absolutely sexy, beautiful 12,000 feet high up in the Rockies where you go off-road and you see eagles and snow caps and the road is muddy and full of clay. And you just feel Clay, your last name, look at that. You feel every little grind of the tires. You feel every move underneath you. And it's funny thing about it is, I did this ride for the first time with an ex back in the 90s. And at the time, my 70-year-old little short, fat Jewish grandmother had to push her big little butt into my lifted 4x4 because, I got it lifted because I wanted to be cool and really have that experience, how to push her butt into it. She goes, oh my God, David, I can't believe it. This is so dangerous. And she'd look over the end and I was having a soul-gasm, brain-gasm, and she was having a neurotic Jewish-gasm. That's a whole
Okay, great.
So slow.
Okay, let's back up a little bit.
Please.
I really want your listeners to walk away with some skills and some tools on how to build better intimacy in their lives. So I just, right away, I want to say that the thing that makes sex hot is probably not what you think it is. The thing that makes it hot is empathy. And here's why. So we, are tribal beings. I won't go too far into this evolutionary psychology. I fully geek out on it, but I'll give you the cliff notes. We are built as tribal beings. We need to live together in units or clans or families. And our greatest survival skill is our intellect, our opposable thumbs and our ability to collaborate. And so if we were alone in the wild when we were, evolving on the Serengeti, we would be eaten or killed very quickly by the elements. So we need to band together. So nature has wired into us this incredible mechanism to keep us together, and it is empathy. So when someone else experiences pain, we experience their pain to a degree. So you could call empathy a version of vicarious experience. And the brain has an incredible capacity to vicariously experience. And I'll give you an example.
Okay.
Pornography. Why is pornography so exciting? It's because we are experiencing what the characters are experiencing to some degree.
Do you know I don't like pornography at all.
Great.
Yeah,
many people don't. Many people do. We're watching porn in like epidemic numbers right now, and I'm concerned about that because of what it does, to intimacy and our ability to connect. So we are vicariously experiencing each other in movies and media. You look at your Instagram feed or your Facebook feed, and every story that you're seeing that's emotionally evocative, you're vicariously experiencing that story when you read it. When you just told the story of your grandma pushing her butt up, we all vicariously experience that to some degree, and we often see a mental picture of the story that we're hearing as well. So what does this mean? Nature has wired empathy into our brain in this way through mirror neurons. So when we're looking at somebody, especially if we're sitting with them in person, our brains begin to wire up to each other. So our nervous systems actually move into a sync. And the theory around this is called limbic resonance. So how your nervous system, you can't see me, but I'm making a hand gesture right now. So your nervous system is kind of like a roller coaster. It's going up, it's going down, it's going up, it's going down, depending on the stimuli that's entering your field, into your environment. And so when you sit across from somebody and you make eye contact, after about 20 seconds, your brain and your body begins to get on the same ride together as that person. So you move into sync. Now, what happens when you move into a nervous system sync with someone is the brain says, fucking yay, hallelujah, woohoo! And it starts to release all kinds of feel-good chemicals. Oxytocin, dopamine, opioids, and endorphins. And it feels incredible if you allow yourself to move into that sync. But you have to stay connected long enough to allow that to happen. And nature will run its course if you just allow it. So even our heartbeats begin to regulate with each other. Our breathing begins to regulate with each other. And Mother Nature rewards us for this. And it creates a bond. And it makes us want to be around that person. It makes us care about that person. And it makes us empathize with their pain and their joy. And this is what glues the tribe together. So this happens with your children, this happens with your family, this happens with your friends, everyone around you, even our pets, animals we move into sync with. And then we fall in love with them. This is sort of like what happens when we fall in love, we move into sync. So if we're having sex without the sync, what we are experiencing is scintillation, titillation, and novelty. This is especially true for men. Men have a biological imperative to have sex with a multiplicity of women. Not all men. I'm generalizing. And it depends, right? But this is sort of how the male brain is predisposed, is to get a strong hit of dopamine every time they have sex with a new woman. It's a reward. And this is why there's an unfortunate epidemic of men with pornography, is because every new woman that they experience on the screen, they're getting strong hits of dopamine. It's novelty. So if you're having sex without the sync, you're getting scintillation, and it's incredibly addictive. I mean, chemically addictive. It's like cocaine, crack, meth. If you're having sex with the sync, so if you've synced with your partner, if there's intimacy, if there's care and communication and bonding and, like you're saying, patience and breath, nature rewards you by releasing a different cocktail of chemicals. And this cocktail of chemicals is like the greatest bliss that you can possibly experience. So you're getting a different elixir of higher levels of oxytocin, lower levels of dopamine, higher levels of opioids. And what that does is it regulates the addictive properties of the experience. So I always say, and tell me if you agree with this, that the best sex is love sex.
Oh, come on. Everything you just said, I think, is exactly the way I've always thought as I've grown, as I've evolved. There's nothing greater than love sex.
Nothing great.
And I look at people all the time and I say, just wait 30 days. Talk to somebody every day and every single night. Listen to what they have to say. Get off on each other's words. Literally, masturbate if you want, thinking about them. Their words, not their body. Their words.
See, David, this is why I wanted to talk about this today. That is a hard sell in today's day and age, especially if you're talking to people under 40.
I know.
And especially if you're talking to people under 35. It's incredibly difficult. Here's why. And I want to get to the hack so that you can actually experience this transcendent, elated, soulful, deep, fucking insanely passionate sex.
Yes, please get to the hack, because we only have a few minutes left. So give them the hack, and then you will stay on and we will continue this for this amazing interview and go deeper into this for my members. Okay. But, we will, my podcast people, not that I don't love y'all, but I promise you like 10 minutes a day. And we've gone over today because we're about to have a braingasm right now. Eva is going to give you this braingasm because to me, love is the ultimate journey, to be seen, to be heard. The most beautiful person in the world is the person you give yourself to. Women, and this is something I always tell men all the time, and this is an evolved man sees the many beautiful faces of a woman. An unevolved man just sees her for what she is. Women's face changes 24/7 when they have a different emotion, different feeling, different share, whatever it might be. And I saw that when my first girlfriend when I was 14 years old. So that I remember going to my mother and saying, "Oh my God, women's girls' faces, they change." And my mother said, "Yes, I've taught you and brought you up right." So brain hack us to death, please.
Okay. The singular most important ingredient to develop empathy is attention. You could say that empathy and attention are equivocal, that they're one and the same. In order to develop empathy, you must be able to give your attention sustained long enough to one person. This is the problem. You might know where I'm going with this. Mm-hmm. We need to pay attention and we need to sustain it. So attention is a neural pathway, and it's like a muscle that we build, the skill of attention. And many of us know what a neural pathway is now, but I have a metaphor that I like to use. I'm going to be brief about it. Imagine that your brain is like a dense forest covered thickly with trees and bushes.
Okay.
And every time you give attention to something, a little tiny trail is forged inside the forest of your brain. And every time you give that thing your attention, the trail gets wider and wider and wider until it goes from a tiny little trail that's winding through the forest and it turns into a superhighway, like a 4-lane superhighway. And of course, the wider the trail, the more quickly you can traverse it. So in our brain, when we give something our attention, anything our attention, let's say it's ourselves. Sometimes we begin to fixate on some kind of flaw we have about ourselves. We might give attention to a particular thought or belief. We might give our attention to a behavior, a motor behavior, riding a bike, tying our shoes, dancing. If you go out and learn salsa dancing, the first time you go, you've got that forest dense in your brain, and you learn a few steps, and that little trail gets wider and wider and wider every time you practice. So our technological culture right now is shrinking our attention span.
Oh God, it's brutal.
It's brutal. It's fucking minuscule. we can only hold attention like a minute at a time on something. And I know because I produce media. So like, I'm now doing things in like 1 minute. Like we have 1 minute to hold your attention. So how can we possibly sustain attention long enough on one person? In the age of dating apps, in hookup culture, we're just swiping.
It's
And
amazing. It's amazing though when you give somebody a chance.
when you give somebody a chance, but it is decimating our intimacy. So we're having cheap junk food, scintillating sex. It's not fulfilling. And so we keep searching for that right partner who's going to actually nourish us. But we're not staying with them long enough to feel nourished. And it's not the partner that nourishes us. It's our brain and our body and our nervous system that rewards us for sustaining attention. So it's an inside job. Pleasure is an inside job. So here's what we do. Practice focusing attention. This is what will give you the best sex. Look, I can teach you, and I do this all the time, sexual techniques. I can teach you how to touch this, suck that, pull that, like whatever. I can teach you all those techniques. And none of it is going to give you the sex that you want. What's going to give you the sex you want is your ability to sustain attention, not only on your partner, but on your own body and your own sensation. So mindfulness meditation, actually any kind of meditation, will give you better sex. Sitting across from a partner, letting your eyes meet and sharing 10 deep breaths before you go into a sexual encounter.
Oh my God. Can I add to that? One of the greatest things I always tell people all the time, it's so funny. I always tell people all the time, before you have sex with somebody, sit opposite each other naked and allow the energy to build between the two of you. Don't touch each other. Don't do a thing. Let the energy build. Then take your hand and take her hand and show her how you want to be touched by using her hand. Have her do the same exact thing to you. Let her take your hand and let her trace your body, lay her a body, and allow her to literally show you how she needs to be touched while still staring at each other at the same time. Yeah, you're speaking my language, and I'm so glad you teach that. Anything left to add? Because we've gone over, we've gone way over, and I want to go deeper into this. I want to continue talking to you, so definitely stay on after we say goodbye to the podcast listeners, and I want to go deeper into this whole thing, okay? Mm-hmm. So where can they reach you? Because you've given them so much information. Their attention span right now is going, oh my God, this is great stuff. So Eva, where can they find you? EvaClay.com. That's EvaClay.com. And I have a free gift for you if you go to that website. And David, I'd love to share the link with you so people can go directly to it. And it's a free hypnotic guided meditation that actually will help you to develop these skills that we're talking about. And it's a meditation for self-love and pleasure. It's great for both men and for women. And this is going to make your pleasure, your sex life, go off the hook. Beautiful. 10-minute daily reality chick. Oh my God, look at that. That was like, here I am.
By the chick.
Oh my God, I'm talking to a beautiful chick, and that was a Freudian slip. 10-minute daily reality chick is out for today. Spread the love. Have great sex. Hack that brain so that body follows. And really, love is really all while we're here. For all you men that are still in the conquest stage of life, get it out of your system so then you can actually connect deeper, because it's amazing when a woman actually gives herself to you instead of you convincing or her convincing herself that she wants to be with you. So we will be back. I'll have you definitely back on the podcast, but you and I are going to continue this great conversation, and I want to know about this guided meditation.
Great. Happy to be here.